Yep. Peace to the gods. Walking on this plane of chance and opportunity. Welcome back, reflections. Welcome back, gods. Welcome back, divine beings. Have the potential to be consciously aware and in tune with the divine oneness of who they actually are. I love myself. I love myself, meaning I understand myself. Myself, meaning my cells, and practically my cells, myself, this cell, this plane of existence that I am in, that I am being within. And love means understanding, according to the words of the most honorable prophet, Chief Eligio the Christ. So we must take into account what's actually going on here when it comes to dis-ease, the dis-ease that is plaguing this planet, that is plaguing this plane of existence, this infinite plane of existence, this infinite plane of constant change, the chance and opportunity that we live in. See, you hearing all this scare tactics, all these different scare tactics every other year, every single year, all these different scare tactics that are telling you that you need to get out of this system. Yes, it's a fear tactic. Yes, it's scare tactics. Yes, it's to distract you. They're telling you, they're bringing up situations and things that you be scared about, or the masses will be scared about, in order to just distract them from the fact that they're already slowly being killed and dying, quote unquote dying, and being in a state of dis-ease and unhealthiness. And this is a systematic program. Babylon, the lower self, has enabled a systematic program of self-destruction. The lower self is self-destruction. The lower self is cancer. The lower self is virus. The lower self is bacterial infection. The lower self is fungal infection. The lower self is dis-ease. When your cells are not at ease, when your cells in your body are not at ease, that causes disruption in the communication, in the cellular signaling for the electromagnetic, electrochemical compounds, or the electrochemical messages to be successfully delivered to the rest of the body, so that everything can work in unison and bring the body into a state of constant balance. When your cells are stressed, that is what causes dis-ease in your body. That is what causes dis-ease in your avatar. What we must understand, reflection, what we must understand is that all dis-ease stems from stress. So no matter how good you think you're eating as a vegan, if you're in an environment that is not conducive for your psychological well-being, your mental well-being, aka your spiritual well-being, if you're a vegan, vegetarian, or whatever you think is the healthiest way that you can eat, it doesn't matter your diet it doesn't matter your diet if your lifestyle contains and pertains stress. If your lifestyle is being around people that do not benefit you mentally, that aren't making you greater, that are constantly bringing frustration, anger, indecisiveness, iniquity into your life. See, none of this matters. These people talking about the coronavirus and people talking about HIV, AIDS, herpes, all of this dis-ease, Alzheimer's, diabetes, all of this is within every single cell on this plane of existence. All of this is lying dormant in the DNA of every single cell of a human being. And it is only activated when your cells get under certain amounts of stress. When your cells are under certain amounts of stress, according to the environment that it is in, that is what causes the quote-unquote dis-ease that they label people having. That is what causes that disease. It's the change of lifestyle. when your lifestyle is not aligned with the divine order of the cosmos, the divine order of your natural being, then of course unnatural things will happen. When your lifestyle is not in order, when you are living in a system based off convenience of taking from nature, resourcing it for a government that does not give back truly to that nature that it has taken from, then you're going to have a nation, a system, a government full of disease and full of cancer cells, full of participants for an unhealthy environment. You're worried about the coronavirus when what creates or what manipulates energy in this existence to even make a coronavirus is the minds of men. Is the minds of the men and women that run, that sustain this government, the nation that you are living in. And your nation is a fractal version of your community of cells that make up your avatar. This is why it is imperative, reflection. This is why it is imperative that when these things happen, we take note and know that these fear tactics, these developments of quote unquote viruses are nothing more than thoughts that are being emitted from beings that truly do not know themselves or truly do not care enough to put out healthy thoughts into the environment, to be the best that they can be in tune with nature. And we must know that these viruses, this dis-ease on this planet comes from people thinking out of tune, out of balance with the natural flow of how things are working. This 5G towers, these cell phone towers, even before the 5G stuff started to get talked about. Cell phone towers, it was already scientifically proven that cell phone towers emit lower level frequency vibrations of microwaves that disrupt chemical compounds, specifically oxygen, which our cells need. Hydrogen and oxygen, basically the key elements of our existence. It disrupts the covalent bonds that hold those chemical compounds together. These microwaves, these radio waves, this radioactivity that is all around us right now, including our cell phones, it cannot affect you if you are God mind, meaning that your mind is in tune with the natural state of existence and flowing with the earth as it should. It's constantly in communion and connection with the earth, meaning that you are grounded to the earth, that you are connected with the sun, which is your true mind, which is the fullness of your mind, that you know what you are in this existence, and that everything is fractal. You are the observer and the observation. Knowing that what's above is below and what's within is without. Knowing that your environment is a product of your mind. Knowing that you need to constantly connect with the sun in the right way through your melanin, so that your DNA and your ancient genetic codes, or your genetic codes that you actually will need in a natural environment, can be activated. Your superpowers, your super conscious genes. But see, no, we are living in an unnatural state. Humanity is in its lower self. We are in stage 4 cancer. According to the most honorable prophet, Chief Eligio the Christ, stress is the cause of all dis-ease. And it doesn't matter if you go on a vacation or go to a resort and you leave the current nation or government that you're in to cure, quote unquote, cure yourself. If you're going to create a new lifestyle to temporarily heal yourself just to come back and be in that state once again. If you're going to leave and go do ayahuasca and do these shrooms and do all of this psychedelics and reprogram your subconscious mind just to come back into the place where the disease starts. Just to come back into that mind state of where that disease begins, of where all of that stress is being emitted and perceived by your cells, for them to get stressed out again, for you to have to keep going back and forth to do the same thing when you can just be in tune with the divine exodus of these light beings, the brown man and woman walking this plane, wishing and living, not wishing, destined, chosen to be in tune with the divine flow and natural flow of the cosmos in one's existence, the self, CELLf. You don't have to keep going to these hospitals and to these doctors when Bruce Lipton has already told you everything is epigenetics. And whatever environment that you are in predicates how your genes will be expressed. What cuts off and on different genes is your thinking state, which takes you to a specific environment. Your environment then cuts off and on specific genes in order to live in that environment. And if you are in an unnatural environment, then you will, quote unquote, cut on and off unnatural genes. You will cut off your natural genes because your natural genes are telling you that you need UVB sunlight. You need to be constantly connected to the earth. And that you need to constantly be in a flow of being in the right state of mind so that you can utilize your superpowers. But if you are in an unnatural environment, your genes will cut on for you to do unnatural things so that you can sustain or survive in an unnatural environment, which means you will only think about making things unnatural so that you can survive in that unnatural environment. It is simple as that. You will begin to make air conditioning, vehicles that do not benefit the earth plane. You will begin to make multiple devices in different ways, choose different mechanisms, different devices, different technologies that allow you to survive, only survive, not live abundantly, survive in an unnatural environment that is constantly causing you stress. And at the end of it all, nature is going to do its best to wipe you out. That environment that is unnatural for you as a human being to live in is doing its best to wipe you out. But you being a human being and adapting, doing its best to adapt to that situation will create unnatural things to try to combat the nature of the matter so that you can survive. Which is your right, but it does not mean that it is healthy. That does not mean that it is beneficial to all of existence. Because if it were, then nature would allow you to naturally live in this environment. Nature would allow you to naturally live in the northern hemisphere. So it is imperative that we begin to take hold of the divine exodus and leave as soon as possible. Forget the scare tactics. Reflected light from the most honorable prophet, Chief Eligio the Christ. Higher self of the brown man and woman walking this plane. I love myself, family. Peace to the gods.